The public can start suggesting names for the baby panda twins from today. Hong Kong International Horse Show is expected to draw 25,000 visitors. And 3 more Israeli hostages are released by Hamas in Gaza. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The public can visit 2 giant panda babies at Ocean Park starting on Sunday. An naming event for the twins is being held from today until early March. Mimosa Ngai reports.
Nearly 6 months after their birth, the twin cubs, elder sister and little brother, are ready to meet the public on Sunday. Before their public debut, the pandas took on different activities to spend their Saturday afternoon. The sister was playful, whereas the brother decided to take a nap.
Which of the twin cubs is more active? Ocean Park said the elder sister likes climbing trees, while her younger brother enjoys exploring the ground.
The theme park said the twins have grown a lot since August last year, with each weighing about 12 kilograms. To celebrate the twins' debut, a ceremony was held at Ocean Park. Chief Executive John Lee attended the event with his wife and senior officials. Lee finds it moving to be able to see the twins growing up and thanks the effort of local and mainland panda experts for taking care of the animals. The CE invites the public to suggest names for the twins between now and March 7th. Meanwhile, Ocean Park said they have seen an increase in revenue because of panda enthusiasm.
Over the Christmas period, we had an increase of year-on-year, 30% growth. Over Chinese New Year, it was a 10% increase.
Leveraging the panda fever, the park launched a series of panda-themed souvenirs, food and events. Some visitors said they are in favor of the initiative.
If with tourism and connected to conservation efforts, it's a good way to educate people about the environment and how we can better preserve it. And as long as the animals are being taken care of and not exploited, I think it's good.
I think Panda and Ocean Park, I think they go hand in hand. I think it's a big draw for tourism in the city. Pandas, are a big symbol. And I think getting the city involved in naming the pandas is a fantastic way of getting us involved. Yes, it's exciting.
Starting from Tuesday, individuals who are willing to pay $1,500 can visit the twins 30 minutes before the park opens. Registration opened on Friday, and the park said they have received hundreds of bookings. Mimosa Ngai, TVB.
The ongoing Longines Hong Kong International Horse Show is expected to draw 25,000 visitors. The organizers said the opening day yesterday also saw a turnout reaching 80% of its full capacity. The 3-day event marks its inaugural presence in Hong Kong at Asia World Expo. It took the engineering team from the UK 10 days to build the venues for the equestrian contests here. Apart from the competition, the event features entertainment, shopping and dining experiences. Tickets are priced between $700 and $1,200.
We anticipate tonight all our VIP boxes and all our tables are totally full, and we're confident that over the next 2 days we'll have pretty full attendance. We're very confident that the excitement is a really good starting point.
Police Commissioner Raymond Siu today said age will not be a factor when dishing out lenient penalties for those caught possessing space oil. The comment came after the government banned etomidate and 3 similar substances under the Dangerous Drugs Ordinance. Mimosa Ngai reports.
On Friday, the government issued a ban on etomidate and 3 other similar substances, which can be used to produce space oil, listing them as dangerous drugs. The trafficking and manufacturing of these substances can lead to a maximum penalty of life imprisonment and a fine of $5 million. For possession and consumption, the highest penalty can be 7 years imprisonment and a fine of $1 million. Speaking on a radio program on Saturday, Police Commissioner Raymond Siu said people will not receive leniency just because they are young. He says some people had questioned the effectiveness of introducing an ordinance of the substances. Siu said the ordinance is necessary to tackle the problem of space oil consumption. Meanwhile, the police officer said authorities are planning to adjust real name registration for SIM cards as a way to combat telephone scams. Moments 9, TVB News.
On Thursday, a gas explosion at a department store in the city of Taichung in central Taiwan has claimed 4 lives and left 36 injured. 11 of them remain hospitalized. They include a 2-year-old girl from Macau who suffers a serious head injury. Today, family members of the deceased who have flown to Taichung from Macau visited the site of the accident. This is where the Macanese couple lost their lives at the blast. Their relatives reached the Shinkan Mitsukoshi department store in the afternoon to mourn their loved ones. Most area outside the site has remained off limits, but the cordons at part of the pedestrian paths have been lifted. Floral tributes could be seen near the site of the blast. The exterior wall blown up on the 12th floor yet to be removed, part of it dangling precariously. Authorities have put up notices reminding passers-by to stay vigilant of falling objects. This Taichung resident said this department store is part of his childhood memory, but he will try to stay away from it for a while. He recalled that the department store was struck by a gas explosion shortly after he started business, and is sad to see how it was afflicted by a similar tragedy some 25 years later. The neighborhood, normally a bustling site, has become almost deserted, with the footfall dropping 70%. The fatal gas explosion occurred on Thursday morning. A family of 7 from Macau spanning several generations were hit by falling objects during the blast in front of the department store. A 2-year-old girl sustained a serious head injury and had to undergo emergency craniotomy, which involves removing a portion of the skull for brain surgery in Taiwan. Initial investigation suggested that the explosion was linked to a gas leak caused by construction work. However, the involved gas company said that gas lines had been shut off before the explosion, and some workers reported smelling gas at the site. Hamas have released 3 Israeli hostages. 369 Palestinian prisoners were freed by Israel. It is also a major step forward towards phase 2 of the ceasefire, after a turbulent few days threatened to derail the peace process in Gaza. David Garrett reports.
A significant location, Khan Yunis, for this week's hostage release. Some thought this day may not come. The Red Cross arriving and signing papers ahead of the release. The 3 released are Alexander Trufanov, a 29-year-old Russian-Israeli, Jair Horn, a 46-year-old Argentine-Israeli, and Sagi Dekelchen, a 36-year-old American-Israeli. The hostages emerged from vehicles to be handed over. Those released looked pale, but seemingly in better health than the 3 men released 7 days ago. On Monday, Hamas said they would not release any more hostages because of Israeli breaches. Israel's military threatened to restart the war. US President Donald Trump wanted all hostages released on Saturday. Despite these threats, this latest swap went ahead as planned and smoothly. This is the 6th exchange during the ceasefire. The hostages were led from the stage by masked gunmen marching past an image of former Hamas military chief Yahya Sinwar before he was killed by Israel last October. Within an hour, vehicles were seen moving in the West Bank. Cheering crowds greeted the arrival of the more than 300 freed Palestinians. In Israel, the family of American-Israeli Dekelchen had been watching anxiously, praying there would be no last-minute mishap. Then cheers, applause and tears. The family saw the now former captive released and driven away from Hamas. Dekelchen has never met his 3rd daughter, Shachar, who was born just over a year ago. His wife was pregnant when he was taken. This mirrored nearby as Dekelchen's friends gathered together to see the release of the entrepreneur, who is an avid tennis player. Relief, more tears. This friend, Ofri, spoke for many in the room. No words can explain how excited we are, she says. We've been waiting for him at home. His girls have been waiting. Soon they will be reunited, crowds cheering in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, where they watched and waited. The 3 hostages were all taken from a kibbutz on October 7th. They've been held by Hamas for 497 days. As during previous releases, the Red Cross handed them over to the Israeli military. David Garrett, TVB News.
And still ahead, a drone with warhead hit the outer shell of Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear plant. Foreign Minister Wang Yi outlined China's vision of nations working together to address global challenges. And a look at the new concert hall in Macau. Welcome back. A drone armed with a warhead hit the protective outer shell of Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear plant on Friday, punching a hole in the structure and briefly starting a fire. The plant has been closed since 1986, when an explosion killed dozens and sent radiation into the atmosphere. Nasri Karim with more.
Closed-circuit TV footage captures the moment a drone smashes into the outer shell of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. A glowing fire appears to melt a hole into the steel and concrete structure. The blaze was eventually put out, and the next morning teams started the repair job. The United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency said radiation levels at the shuttered plant had not increased. Chernobyl is the site of the world's worst nuclear accident when in April 1986, Reactor 4 exploded and released a large amount of radiation into the atmosphere. It killed 30 operators and firemen within 3 months, and several further deaths were recorded later. The shell was built in 2016 over another heavy concrete structure that was placed on Reactor 4 soon after the 1986 disaster. Kyiv has blamed Russia for the attack, which comes days after US President Donald Trump said he spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin on the phone. Moscow has denied responsibility for the attack, saying Ukraine is trying to incriminate Russia and sabotage potential Trump-Putin peace talks. The incident comes on the day Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. Zelensky is concerned that Washington and Moscow is leaving Ukraine out of talks to end the war, with Vance saying they want a lasting peace.
Fundamentally, the goal is, as President Trump outlined it, we want the war to come to a close, we want the killing to stop, but we want to achieve a durable, lasting peace, not the kind of peace that's going to have Eastern Europe in conflict just a couple years down the road.
The Ukrainian leader said he hopes any deal would ensure security guarantees for his country.
Our first meeting, not last, I'm sure, and really what we need to speak more, to work more, and to prepare the plan how to stop Putin and finish the war. We want peace very much, but we need real security guarantees.
Zelensky later met senior American politicians, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and other continental leaders. Nasri Karim, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump reacted positively to his vice president's controversial speech at the Munich Security Conference. J.D. Vance said he fears free speech is in retreat across Europe, saying that it appears to the U.S. that old entrenched interests are hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation.
I heard his speech, and he talked about freedom of speech, and I think it's true in Europe. They're losing their wonderful right of freedom of speech. I see it. I mean, I thought he made a very good speech, actually, a very brilliant speech. Yeah. Europe has to be careful.
During his speech in Munich, Vance also talked about Europe being weighed down by a major immigration problem. He said the biggest threat to Europe is not Russia or China, but internally saying the continent is retreating from some of its most fundamental values that are shared with the U.S. Staying at the Munich Security Conference in Germany, Foreign Minister Wang Yi outlined China's vision of nations working together to address global challenges. Wang also urged an end to protectionism, stressing that Beijing will respond resolutely if the U.S. continues its efforts to suppress China. At his speech at the Munich Security Conference, Foreign Minister Wang Yi called for a collective effort to foster an equal and orderly multipolar world. He criticized how some countries are prioritizing their own nation's interests by imposing tariffs. While said protectionism and arbitrary tariffs benefit no one, he said decoupling and severing supply chains will only cut off opportunities, leading to self-isolation. That's why he said an open and mutually beneficial global economy should be the way forward. In an interview, Wang stressed he is confident in the future of Sino-US relations and insisted that the two countries must work together to avert conflicts.
如果美方仍然还要对中国
He said if the U.S. is bent on suppressing China, they have no choice but to stand firm and defend China's national dignity and legitimate rights to develop to counteract the unilateral and hegemonic actions of the U.S. Wang also cited some Chinese classical sayings. They include one from the first chapter of the Chinese classic I Ching, or the Book of Changes. The movement of heaven is full of vigor. Following that, the gentleman steels himself and strives for constant improvement. Another saying Wang broached is from the book The Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber by martial arts novelist Louis Cha, better known as Jin Yong. The idea is that one shall maintain inner peace and steadfastness no matter how strong or overbearing the other parties seem. Wang said these lines are hard to translate, so he welcomes people to use Chinese-made generative AI to DeepSeek for help. At the Munich Security Conference, Wang also met with host country Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. When meeting his Spanish counterpart José Manuel Avilés Bueno, Wang hopes to push for deeper bilateral ties with the two nations' establishment of strategic relations reaching half a century this year. Wang also met with Kaja Kallas, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, and Friedrich Merz, leader of the Christian Democratic Union of Germany. The 9th Asian Winter Games came to a close on Friday in Harbin of Heilongjiang Province after 8 days of competition. Some souvenir shops said sales were 3 to 4 times higher than expected. The official mascots of the 2025 Asian Winter Games are two Siberian tigers, Bin Bin and Nini. Siberian tigers are the natural and cultural heritage of the province, which also symbolize triumph and a harmonious coexistence with nature. In the souvenir shop, many tourists made the final sprint to grab mementos. Supporting Macau efforts to boost its tourism industry, the Macau Outdoor Performance Venue, which can house an audience of 50,000, will officially open this year. With 2 testing events hosting 20,000 people scheduled for March and May, Macau authorities are currently calling for proposals for performances. Danny Zhou has the story.
The Macau Outdoor Performance Venue, occupying 94,000 square meters of land in Kowloon Taipa, was completed last year. Built at a cost of 800 million Macau paticas, or nearly $10 million, the venue is just a 10 minutes walk from the East Asian Games light rail station. Next to the venue stands a row of hotels and malls. There is also an open-air parking lot for spectators, and private rooms and independent washrooms are available for artists. How do locals feel about this new landmark? Ms. Mo said it's great to have another venue to run large-scale events and buoy tourism, though residents living nearby existing stadiums have lodged complaints about the noise. Ms. Chow said she believes ancillary facilities such as bus stations will be introduced in time. Some of Macau's concert producers who took part in the venue's warm-up party said a number of world-class rock bands had signaled their interest in holding concerts here. This has been met with positive response from the local industry. It is believed that the venue can satisfy the superstars' privacy demands. But what about its shortcomings? Mr. Che, Executive Director of Chessman Entertainment Production, said the open-air venue could be easily affected by rain and extreme weather. She said concerts must be cancelled in such cases. But organizers would have to purchase concert insurance from Hong Kong because such options are not provided by Macau firms. He added a backup plan for mega events of over 30,000 people is needed. He holds the view that the venue is not a direct competitor to Hong Kong facilities, and that the two cities can join hands in inviting international superstars. This can draw high-consumption tourists who may stay overnight, he said. Authorities are also advised to explore ticket packages for Hong Kong and Macau tours and roll out related promotional activities. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.